I should probably get to my dashboard and pause that. What's up, everybody? Doodle-doo-doo, hello, everybody. How are we today? Everyone's having a good one. Just a quick reminder, we're going to go to sub only for the cooking section. Had to do that last week, and I really have no way to moderate the chat while I am cooking. So I appreciate everybody coming out, but the purpose of cooking is to demonstrate, not so much to entertain, although I hope you are entertained. Echo? Hold on. Oh, there we go. Probably help if I muted my stream. There we go. We're good. I thought I paused it, but I didn't. Yes, that looks great, Shay. Okay, guys, I really appreciate everybody coming out. We're gonna get started. I'm gonna be cooking. We're going to be cooking a leek and potato soup, which is a very simple application. And then if we have time, we'll do a pasta dish as well. I'm pretty much working with the leftovers that I have. I wanted to keep. Thank you, Renex. I wanted to keep this week really, really simple. I'm sorry, Mr. Dave. Sorry. What's up, North Bay Ninja? 2-player not to play. Thank you. Thank you. Tauntaun, Shay Wolf. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. We're going to be doing a couple simple applications. I will post the recipes on YouTube afterwards. It is my hope that I can get to a point where I have the recipe posted right after the cooking cast for the next week. But frankly, I've been too busy as of late to pull that off. Of course, before we start cooking, the first thing we always do is wash our hands. Okay, so for this potato and leek soup, I've cooked this quite a bit. Most of the time when you go out to a restaurant and you get potato leek soup, it's just chock full of heavy cream. So we're going to do a pretty low-fat application that is really tasty. And what we're going to use for our thickener in soup is the potatoes. Most of the time, people use roux or some other fat-based thickener, heavy cream, or one of those, which is perfectly fine. But I like to do other applications. So we're going to be using golden potatoes, Yukon Gold they're usually called, or yellow potatoes, gold potatoes. There's a couple different varieties of them, but what gold potatoes have over other potatoes is they have a really silky texture when you cook them. So we're not going to use too many. We're going to grab like 6 or 7 potatoes. Let's go 7. So that'll be our thickener for the soup. That way we don't have to use a roux or heavy cream or some other, well, not very good for you thing. Okay, when you cook potatoes, you always want to start with cold water. That may seem kind of weird, but if you don't start with cold water and you cook your potatoes, the outsides get overcooked and the insides get undercooked, so you want them to heat up evenly throughout. So that's probably not going to be big enough. But I hope everyone is having a wonderful evening. We're just going to hop right in. The soup takes a little bit to cook, so I want to get it started right away. Now we're going to peel the potatoes because the skins of gold potatoes I don't think taste very good. I'm not a big fan of potato skins. Some people like them, but I will pass. And you don't have to have a perfect peel on them by any means. Just enough. Even if you have a little piece of skin on there, it's not going to affect the dish at all. Yeah, I mean, I'll eat potato skins if they're like if they're baked or something like that. But for this application, you're basically going to end up with a big stringy, clumpy mess if you don't. And the purpose of using the potatoes as a thickener is to have a nice silky smooth texture, and the skin definitely doesn't achieve that. When do you add the beard spice? I add that off camera because people frown on the beard spice. But well, there you go. Idaho potato skin's real good. I mean, I got nothing against potato skin, but it depends on the application. This is definitely not one where you want big pieces of potato skin floating around in your soup. I could do this a lot quicker on the cutting board, but it makes a ton of noise, and I don't think that's very good interference for the mic. Where can you buy some beard spice? Coming to eBay soon. Of course, I got my coffee on. I haven't even had one cup of coffee today. I actually got to sleep in today, which was nice. All right. Now, it doesn't really matter if you overcook the potatoes too much, but you still want to start with cold water. We want them to be completely cooked all the way through. A lot of times when you cook potatoes, you don't mind if they're a little al dente in the middle. For this application, you don't want it to be chunky at all, so we're going to pretty much cook the hell out of them, and then add them to the soup later. I'm sure everybody knows potatoes oxidize real quick, so you always want to put them in water or coat them in oil or do something to keep air from hitting the skin of the potato. Especially Yukon Golds will turn brown pretty quick, as will russets. Red potatoes last a little bit longer on average in the air, but you want to get them in water as soon as possible. The oxidation, the brown stuff that forms on the outside of the potato, does not affect the flavor at all. It just looks really nasty. So if you cook an oxidized potato, it's going to taste exactly the same as a regular potato. It's just going to look like rust. Yes, thank you everybody to sub. I'm not using sub only to try to get subs. That's not the point. In fact, I hate using sub only chat, but last week was really, the chat was out of control, and I'm not sitting at my computer, so I have no real way to moderate the chat, and I think that ruins the experience for a lot of people that are here to learn how to cook something. So that's why we go sub only. Nothing personal. We'll go out of sub only right after this, and thank you all for being here. Okay. Let's hope this burner lights. I don't have a lighter on me. I always have a lighter on me. Alright, I gotta grab a lighter. Funny enough, even though I don't smoke anymore, I almost always have a lighter on me. It's just habit from working in kitchens. I'd always have a lighter. There we go. Lost some hair. Okay, so we're gonna get those started. So the ingredients for the potato and leek soup are real simple. We're gonna be using golden potatoes, onions, leeks, chicken stock, and a little bit of dried herbs. And that's really going to be it. You can add like sausage or something else to it, but I'm going to forego that step. You can do the same thing with vegetable broth. This is actually a really nice vegetarian option for making soups. And I will say this is really cheap soup to make as well. You can do it with just onions. Really, what I wanted to demonstrate here was how you make the base for it. I mean, you can fry potato skins, but that's really about it. So. We're using the natural starch of the potatoes as the thickener for the soup. We'll use some garlic too. I put garlic in almost everything I cook. I don't know. I love garlic. So to crack a bulb of garlic, if you get a whole bulb, you just put the butt of your hand on the bottom and then put all your weight into it. And it should break apart. Some of them break apart a lot easier than others. This one's not very easy. Alright. So I was going to ask you guys what kind of stuff you would like to see me demonstrate in later weeks. I might set up a poll for that. I know we got like how to butcher a chicken and all that stuff on there. But as far as techniques go, I'm pretty much open to do just about anything. I really have not had very much time lately to plan as much as I'd like to. I really like to plan ahead, which has not happened that much. So I've pretty much been working with whatever's in my fridge, which is what I do on a daily basis. Yes, I have braised venison. Make something sweet. I'm not a big fan of sweets. There you go, North Bay Ninja. Breakfast food, I can definitely do eggs. I could do a whole section on knife skills as well. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of sweets. Not a huge fan of sweets. Yes, I will be gaming after the cast, same as every Saturday. Spicy red beans and rice? I mean, red beans and rice is kind of a staple, so I can definitely do that. Yeah, go ahead. I went to cooking school for 2 years, 2-player not to play. That was a really annoying whistle. Healthy chili, you can do that. Chili always tastes better when it's unhealthy, though. Bisque takes some time, Pyro. That'd probably be something for a later date because that's a pretty technical thing to make, and I want to keep it simple for a while. Yes, those are potatoes in the pot. Those are going to be the thickener for our soup. We'll get the rest started. We'll use this big pot right here. Okay, well, when we get that going on a low temperature, I want it to get heat up. We're going to use olive oil as well. Olive oil, potatoes, onions, thyme, all that stuff goes together really well. So this is about as simple as it gets. Okay, so we're going to use 1 onion and a bunch of leeks in here. Alright, let's talk about leeks real quick. It's not something most people use every day. It's more of a kitchen ingredient. But when you buy leeks, these are about as good as it gets. You're looking for how much white is on the leek. The white stuff is the non-bitter stuff. When you get up to, they have these split tops as well. The greener it is, the more bitter it is. So you really want to use the white and just a little bit of the green. So we cut this one off right here. Most leeks that you buy, you see about this much white on the actual leek. So these are really amazing. All right, to clean a leek, they are very dirty vegetables. Sometimes they're cleaned a lot better than others. But to clean them, cut off what you want. Like this one right here, we got to cut off right about there. If you're making stock and stuff, you can use the rest of this. I don't like to do that, especially in a simple application. If it has bitters in it, it's going to taste really bad. Okay, so it's got all these different layers on the inside. So basically, what you do is you run it under the water and spread it apart with your fingers to get any dirt out of the inside layers. So we'll get them all ready and clean them. I mean, they literally grow straight up out of the ground, so they pull them. It's kind of an oniony flavor, I guess. It's definitely in the onion family as far as flavors go. But for this simple application, we gotta keep it pure and not have any bitters in there. Okay, we need to turn that way down. Alrighty. Try to keep the cutting board as clean as possible. Don't want to get any onion flakes or stuff like that in your soup. Alright, so we're going to split these. You can tell these have already been pretty well cleaned. However, we're going to clean them anyways, because they do come directly out of the ground. So I know you guys can't see this, but I'll demonstrate what you do. You just run water over them, and you just do this and make sure water gets in between each of the layers. Alright, so we have leeks. Our potatoes are starting to get there. What I'm actually going to do here is switch the pots. So this one has a much higher temperature, so we can get those boiling right away. Yes, chat is sub only for the cooking section. It was too much to handle last night, and I really can't moderate my chat while cooking. Alright, so we have our leeks, we have our onion, last piece is the garlic. We're going to add the leeks right at the very end. The onion and garlic we will saute, and then add the chicken stock. So this is about as simple as it gets for soup. You don't have to be a culinary genius to pull this one off. It's pretty simple. That's the way I like to cook. I have a lot of cooking knowledge. I can do really fancy stuff, but I find the most satisfying food to cook is something simple that you can work with what you got and doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to make. Now, I love garlic. Use garlic at your own discretion. Some people really like garlic. Some people don't like it that much. I love it. We should have time to do a pasta dish. I don't see why not. That'll be a good time to talk to you guys because we'll have a little bit of downtime in between while we're waiting for water to boil. I wanted to talk about with the pasta dish taking stuff that you have that's like in a can or in a jar and basically doctoring it to make it better. One of the chefs I went to culinary school with was big about that because he was big about cooking for yourself at home, not just cooking in a kitchen environment. And let's face it, not everybody has 2-3 hours to make a really nice pasta sauce by themselves. So a lot of times you end up using canned pasta sauce or jarred pasta sauce as it is. And there's a lot of ways you can make that pretty tasty. I don't particularly like the taste of jarred pasta sauce. It kind of tastes like preservatives to me. But if you work with it, you can get some really good flavors out of it. Which only takes you an extra 15-20 minutes. I mean, I think to expect people to cook everything from scratch for themselves at home is absolutely absurd, because frankly we have jobs and children to take care of and all that stuff that keeps us from spending all day in the kitchen making this amazing food. Yeah, what I was going to demonstrate, which I didn't, I was going to, if you have to peel a lot of stuff, like you're peeling a lot of potatoes, or you're peeling a crap ton of carrots or something, a little trick I picked up in the kitchen, I'll show you right here, is you just put stretch tight over your cutting board, over the whole thing, and then you peel everything onto there, and then when you're done, all you have to do is go like this, and it picks up all your trimmings, and it saves you a ton of time on cleanup. It also keeps your cutting board from getting stained. I'll turn that down just a smidge. Alright, our potatoes are going, that's good. We're going to use extra virgin olive oil for this application because it's very simple. It'll just add another little bit of flavor. This is going to be right there, that little tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons. That's all the fat that's going to be in the entire batch of soup. So for those of you that don't know, every tablespoon of oil has 12 grams of fat in it. Butter is also 12. Lard is 14. So people that order salad and smother their salad in vinaigrette or ranch doesn't end up actually being that healthy. Now some vinaigrettes are much healthier than others, but as a general rule, if you go out to a restaurant and you order a vinaigrette, it's probably at the very least 2 to 1 oil to vinegar. Classic French vinaigrette is 4 to 1 oil to vinegar. Backseat cooking is fine, as long as you guys aren't being a jerk about it. Okay, we're just going to get a real rough chop on this garlic. This is kind of a rustic soup. I don't really care about the finesse portion of it. Plus, it's going to steep for a while, so this will all kind of break down. And then at the end, we're going to end up mashing the soup. And people will say, well, are you making watery mashed potatoes? And the answer is kind of yes. We are kind of making watery mashed potatoes. But the texture you get out of that is really silky, smooth, and delicious. As long as you don't undercook the potatoes, you really can't mess up the soup. Okay, so we got a nice little bit of garlic. It's probably the equivalent to, I don't know, what do we say? Almost there. 4 or 5 big cloves. Alright, now I'm going to have to work quickly before the garlic gets over browned. If you burn garlic, you always add garlic to the pot first, and if you burn garlic, it's game over, man. It's game over. Burnt garlic is one of the worst tastes in the world, in my humble opinion. Brown garlic, delicious. Burnt garlic, disgusting. Alright. What do I want to stir this with? I gotta have a spat somewhere, right? Yeah, lol, you died if you burn the garlic. There we go, it's starting to brown up. That is fine, that is not burnt, that is just right. Just a little bit of brown in there. And the onions will stop it from burning anymore, because they really release their moisture real quick. So we're just going to give that a quick stir, and then we'll add our stock. Another really important thing for the soup, when you cook really simply, you have to nail all the execution. So the salt level of the soup is going to be incredibly important. There we go. We got some nice brown garlic and onions. Just gonna add a little bit of salt right now to get the moisture out of the onions. So I don't want my garlic to go any browner than that. So, when you do it, don't do what I did. Make sure you have your onions ready to go in with the garlic. I attended a technical college up here in Bellingham, Washington. It was a very nice program. Really good chefs. I learned most of my knowledge there, but knowledge is no replacement for experience. And if you've worked in kitchens, you see that all the time. People get out of culinary school and they're all gung-ho, and you really don't know anything until you've worked in a kitchen for a couple of years. You only have the knowledge to apply. Doesn't mean you're going to do it quickly or correctly. Right on, Forlorn. I mean, culinary school was a really rewarding experience, and I really enjoyed it. It was great. Okay, we don't want to go too far on our onions. We got this little slightly translucent. That's what we're looking for. Can you guys see that? Almost. Yeah, got it. Okay, now we're gonna add our chicken stock. You can do this with vegetable broth. Hell, you can do. I did this with water last time, and it came out really good. But we like chicken stock. And then we're gonna let this steep and cook for a while. By the time the potatoes are done, we should be just about good. We're also gonna get this onto the highest temperature possible. And actually, what we're going to do, this burner doesn't work on my stove. We're in the market for a new burner, but until that happens, have to juggle a little bit. I put these over here, and these over here because I want to get them up to temp. I'll probably end up adding a little bit of water to that, but we'll see. Okay, now for the leeks. We have a couple different options of ways to cut leeks. I like to do little half moons, so just cutting them simply this way is the way I like to do it. You can also dice them, do all sorts of stuff. I think this adds a nice texture to it, to the end product of the soup. We're basically going to fold these in after we get the potatoes in there, because leeks will become soggy really quick, and that's not a bad thing, but you want them to have a little bit of life left when you cook them. Just like all vegetables, you're almost always better going slightly undercooked than you are overcooked. Most vegetables taste pretty nasty when they're overcooked. So you'll see here I'm making the claw. This is how you cut all things to not cut yourself. So my finger's resting on the edge of the knife, and that way I have nothing to cut when I push the knife down. My knife definitely needs to get sharpened. That's up there on my to-do list. I've had this knife for almost 4 years now. I've never had it professionally sharpened because, frankly, it hasn't needed it. But it's about time. What I should do is steal my knife. That would make sense. Let's talk about stealing again. I talked about stealing in the last cooking show, but didn't go too in depth on it. Okay, so we're cooking potato and leek soup, and I think we're going to do a pasta dish after that. But to pass the time, I'll end up talking to you guys. I'll have a little more free time here in a moment. Okay. Oh, my coffee's done. That's what I need. I need a cup of coffee. Okay, so stealing your knife. All kitchens have steels in them, or dear God, they should. What a steel is it removes the micro abrasions off of your knife. Every time you make a cut down on something, you cause a minor microscopic chip in your knife. So the end of the edge of the blade will always have these little micro abrasions. So what the steel does is it removes those micro abrasions and keeps the edge of your blade smooth, which stops it from losing its edge. Basically, when your knife loses its edge, the little pieces of metal have eventually broken off, ruining your edge. Okay, so most steels look like this. Some of them have guards on them and stuff like that. But you want to go at a 20-degree angle. How you achieve that 20-degree angle is by placing your knife on the edge. Almost all steels are made like this. That's exactly the angle you want, is with the edge of the knife on there. So all you're doing is dragging it down on both sides. And if you've done it a lot, you can go super fast. Lower the knife a little bit. I'll do it again. So basically you're putting the edge of the knife on there and then tilting. That's the angle you want. Just 20 degrees. Yes, it will save the edge of your blade. It'll double, triple, quadruple the life of your the edge of your knife. I mean, that's the whole purpose of a steel, is to keep your knife sharp and safe. The old adage is a sharp knife is a safe knife, which seems silly, but dull knives are what you end up slipping on and cutting yourself. That's the #1 cause of cuts, is knife slips, not actually your knife being sharp. Oh yeah, that's much better. Much better. So this seems like a lot of leeks, and it is. And I have no problem going heavy on vegetables in my soup and stuff. I don't mind that texture. As long as the base of the soup is that silky smooth, it doesn't really matter how chunky the inside of the soup is. I'm trying to look on XSplit to see if my soup's boiling or not, because I don't want it to boil. Heavy leakage, there you go. So leeks are a pretty cool vegetable. They're generally not too expensive, especially where you live in the world. They're much more common other places. But it's more of a kitchen ingredient that you don't see very much, just like shallots. Most home cooks won't use shallots because they don't know what they are. But if you work in a kitchen, you use shallots all the time. Ah, caught it just in time. Okay, turn that down to a simmer. We don't want our onions to get super mushy, but we do want the flavors to permeate into the chicken stock. Or at least I'm speaking for America when I say that, because I don't know. Most people are pretty set on what they know how to cook or what they want to cook, and leeks and shallots and stuff like that just aren't in there. So leeks are something cool to play around with. There's kind of, I don't know, let's taste one. They're not super overbearing. They kind of taste like I don't know, like a weak onion, I guess. A little bit of spice to them, but nothing crazy. So maybe if you don't like onions a lot, good place to start, because they're not going to burn your face off even if you eat them raw. Okay. Get a little cleanup going here. I should probably check my potatoes. I hope you all are enjoying yourself. I've really been enjoying doing this cooking section. I've always really enjoyed to cook. I enjoy teaching others how to do stuff. That's one of the things I really enjoy. So I hope you all are learning something from this and can apply it into cooking. I pretty much want to show mostly techniques and how to do stuff. Thank you very much, Stroke of Love. Do appreciate it. No, you do not have to have a large palate when you go into culinary arts. I'll tell you, you have a large palate when you get out of culinary arts. Yeah, some people live off of fast food or microwave meals or all that stuff, and I just want to show people it's really not that hard to cook for yourself and eat pretty well on a budget too. I mean, if you know how to cook for yourself with basic ingredients, you'll end up saving yourself a lot of money. Because frankly, it's cheaper to cook for yourself than have somebody cook for you. Okay, so we got this up to temp. We're just gonna give it a quick taste. I always say when you're cooking food, make sure you taste. The more you taste it, the better it's going to taste when it's done. Now I know this isn't gonna taste great, but I want to know what my base is. What I'm working with. Nothing too exciting. A little bit garlicky, a little bit chickeny, a little bit oniony. We are cooking a potato and leek soup. So basically what we're going to do, all we've done with this pot, do a little recap, we just added onion, garlic, and chicken stock. We have yellow potatoes on the stove cooking down. We have our leeks right here. So what we're going to do is when it's done, we're going to add our potatoes, our cooked potatoes, into this and mash them to get a silky texture in the soup without adding a roux or cream. Well, there's worse things you could live off of, Sig. There's worse things. I can understand that, Joy Rock, and I mean, I'm a big fan of like one pot wonders, so to speak, too. Things you can just throw stuff in a pot. That's why I showed braising, because you really only need one burner to braise. You can cook an entire meal in one pot. Well, Psycho, that's kind of what I'm trying to show, is different ways to get flavor out of your food without adding a ton of fat. I think it's really easy to use heavy cream and butter and stuff like that and make food taste good. The struggle is making food taste good without those things. How does this change if you use a cream base instead? Well, if you're going to use a cream base, basically you dice the potatoes, you'd lightly cook them, fold them into the soup with the leeks after you thicken with a roux and heavy cream, which let me tell you, tastes delicious. It tastes absolutely amazing because it has butter and cream in it. Definitely, Alori, having your kids eat healthy is really hard. It's really hard. And the bad thing is if you train your palate to like fatty, salty foods, it's when you start cooking for yourself, you're like, oh, it doesn't taste very good. But if you give it a week or two, you actually realize what you've been missing out on, which is the flavor of food and not just salt and butter and cream. Alright, well, we can get the rest of our ingredients up. Those potatoes should be done in, I want to say, about 10 minutes. So we can work on our pasta dish. We'll get everything chopped for it, and then I'll sit here and talk to you guys for a while, because, actually, you know what I should do is get water boiling. That's what I should do. If we don't do that, we're going to have a bad time. Water takes a while to boil. Well, I mean, that's better than a lot of kids, Alori. You just got to find ways to, like, my daughter doesn't like vegetables very much, but she loves fruit, so she eats a lot of fruit. She likes some vegetables, but I don't know. The human body is a machine, and when you're a kid, your tongue is a lot different than when you're an adult. So when you grow up, you start liking things that you didn't like before. Like, I hated asparagus when I was a kid, and I love asparagus now. You start liking a wider range of flavors, but when you're a kid, your taste buds are just like, everything explodes. So always got to give yourself a second chance. Yeah, indeed, Jade. Well, when you're a kid, broccoli tastes freaking disgusting. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. Broccoli tastes horrible when you're a kid. Okay, so we're gonna add just a little bit of oil to the water. I don't even know if adding oil does anything for cooking pasta. There's different theories on that. Whatever, we're gonna do it. Okay, then we're gonna add salt to our pasta water. Basically, we're gonna cook a really simple pasta using jarred pasta sauce, and we're just gonna kind of spruce it up a little bit because I think that's important. Okay, so add a pretty generous amount of salt to the water. Obviously, this isn't actually going in your food. Contrary to popular belief, salt does not make water boil faster. It makes it boil at a higher temperature. So you're able to maintain a higher temperature using salt in your water, which keeps that nice rolling boil that you want with pasta. Really? Did I lose my lighter already? Okay, well this will get it started anyways. Actually, do some more juggling. Alright, you always want to put a lid if you're trying to boil water. May seem simple, but it's very important for getting stuff to boil. If you have a lid on it, it'll boil about twice as fast. Alright, let's poke these potatoes again. No, not quite. They're getting there though. Well, that's key. If you do the halfway, if you kind of undercook the broccoli, it doesn't smell near as bad. I am a proponent of mise en place, la la corn. I mean, I want to have a good plan of what I'm doing beforehand. Any advice for dealing with picky eaters? Well, first off, you have to find a way to get them to try stuff. Hardest thing with picky eaters is recognize that just because you've tried something once doesn't mean it's going to taste the same next time. For example, my stock's boiling, thank you. For example, if you hate carrots, maybe you like orange glazed carrots, or maybe carrots in olive oil, or carrots with you know, allspice or something like that. So you got to you got to clear your mind of what something tastes like the first time. There you go, no thank you bites, exactly. Just make sure you at least try something again. Maybe you hate it every time you try it, but you might be really surprised you try something one time and go, oh, that's actually really good. So keep your mind open to what food tastes like. No thank you bites are basically, I'm guessing, one bite, which means no thank you, I don't want to eat it, but at least you tried it. Well, the more you cook something, the less nutrients it has. Not for all things, but... Yeah, it's worth trying again, Shade. I mean, maybe you'll hate it. Maybe you'll hate it. I can't tell you one way or another if you will or not, but definitely worth a shot. I used to think mushrooms were the most disgusting vegetable on the earth until I got into culinary school and I had them cooked properly once. I was like, okay, that's all right. And then they really grew on me after that. Yeah, it's crazy how people get like a mental block on people get a mental block on foods, which is kind of unfortunate. I've suffered from that too, like mushrooms and asparagus and all that stuff. I mean, I had a mental block saying, oh, I don't like that, and then when I got into culinary school, you just have to taste everything, and I really learned that I liked a lot more stuff than I thought I would. What's up, Matter? Thank you everybody for being here today. I hope you're all enjoying yourself. I feel kind of bad going sub only for this little bit, but the chat's still moving at a very nice pace, and I can actually read and talk to you guys, which is great. Well, smell is a very powerful thing. Smell is a very powerful thing. So if you really don't like the smell of something, it's a lot harder to get over than the taste. That mental block is incredibly hard to get over because if you don't like the way something smells when it's cooked, it's near impossible to eat it mentally. because your smell and taste are very much connected. That is not a boil. That is a nice simmer. That's exactly what we want. That lazy bubble. That lively simmer. Lively simmer is okay. I'm not a fan of ultra spice. I mean, I've had habaneros before. I used to absolutely hate Brussels sprouts until I had Brussels sprouts cooked in duck fat, and now I like Brussels sprouts. They do smell horrible, though. I'm honestly not that skinny. I'm probably like 15 pounds overweight, but I've always believed in cooking good for myself. I've certainly eaten my fair share of crap, especially when I worked in kitchens. Oh, Ranger. Oh, got off to do beets. I used to hate beets. That's about probably the food I hated the most when I was a child until I learned how to roast and cook them properly. I love beets now. Love them. Thank you, Conning. Appreciate it. I did rice on the first one, Alloyed. Really, rice... Okay, pretty much all rice. I'll just explain it right now. And rice can be very scary, especially if you mess it up. But the directions on the packet of rice will always be correct. The most important thing is you start with cold water, you bring it to a boil, you reduce it to really low temperature, and just put it on the burner for however long they say, and then let it sit on the counter for like 15 minutes, and it should be perfect. Beets raw, I can't do a raw beet. I can do a roasted beet, though. Rice cooker is a great piece of equipment, Jade. I think especially if you're in college or something, or you don't like rice. Rice cooker is the easy way to get past not liking to cook rice, because it cooks it perfectly almost every time. Well, Koenig, I would definitely pick up a rice cooker. That'd be number one, and like a hot plate or some simple form of being able to cook something. I don't, Mr. Jones. I don't really use bamboo streamers too much. I like them, but not something I purchase very often. Alright, well, we can chop up the rest of our stuff. I have a pretty specific way I like to chop my zucchini. Most of the time when you see zucchini, it's always in rings or half moons or stuff like that. I like to mix it up a little bit. So I'll show you how I cut my zucchini. And this is a way you don't really have to cook it and you can still keep some crunch on it. I think overcooked zucchini is probably my least favorite vegetable. It tastes mushy and disgusting. So I like to keep a little bit of crunch while keeping the integrity of the vegetable. Doesn't work as good for tiny zucchinis like this, but we'll make it happen. Okay. I think the thing that makes zucchini gross when you cut it in rings. Now this is only if you overcook it. Is this you know, the seeds on the inside. And the bigger your piece of zucchini is, the more pith it has on the inside, which it kind of makes it taste gross. So I'm going to quarter all my zucchini, and this is a little more time consuming. If you have a big piece of zucchini, it's a lot easier to do this, but we'll make it happen. So I like to take the seeds out of my zucchini. There's something about this texture that I just I don't like. So it's something that stopped me from eating zucchini for a long time. But if you remove that, I love the texture. I'll point out the way I'm doing this is extremely dangerous. Probably not the correct way to do it, but don't cut yourself, is what I'm saying. Pretty much just making the first cut, putting my hand on the other side of the knife, and then dragging it through, rather than trying to cut all the way through, because I have cut myself a couple times doing that in kitchens, so we learned our lesson the hard way. Usually, when I cut myself, I've cut myself many times, I don't cut myself the same way twice, which is a good thing. I guess the only exception to that would be cutting onions, because that's usually because your eyes are watery and you lose your focus. Now you can definitely use the inside of the zucchini. I sometimes throw that in like rice if I'm cooking it. It doesn't really, kind of just disintegrates, adds a little more flavor. Not much, but it's definitely a use for it. Alright, almost there. So I would have ideally rather had like 2 really big zucchinis, and then I could have just done this in one foul swoop, but that's not what we had to work with. Okay. Oh, I still got one more zucchini. Son of a biscuit. Alright, we got a nice little simmer going. Potatoes should be getting close. Oh yeah, we're getting there. Probably another 5 or 6 minutes and the potatoes will be totally done. Want it to be cooked all the way through because I don't want any grit or large chunks. Okay, so the way we're going to cook these, or cut the zucchini, is I'm basically going to lay them down and cut them on a super long bias to make these little strips. The nice thing about doing it that way is not only do you get more volume, but you don't really have to cook them for very long. In fact, I'm probably just going to fold them into the sauce when we're done, and that'll be the extent of what we have to do. I like most vegetables raw, but zucchini is one of the ones just kind of, I don't know, it tastes weird unless you cook it just a little bit. Kind of got to ride the fine line of cooked and not cooked. So by the time I'm done cutting the zucchini, the potatoes should be done, and then we can get working on our soup and finish that off, and then we'll move right into pasta. So the water should be boiling in 5 minutes or so. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is put the knife at a pretty aggressive angle, doing the same thing where I keep the claw so I never cut myself. And we're just going to do this. So now if you had a very large piece of zucchini, what you would do is cut this strip in half again so you get these size pieces. And that being said, there's nothing wrong with doing rings or anything like that. It's just personal preference. This is how I like my zucchini. It takes a lot more time to do it this way, but this is what I enjoy. We can even, since it's so small, we can probably do 2 at a time. We don't have to worry about super finesse or anything like that with a pasta dish. Everybody has their own style. Some people like super precise cuts. I could really carry this. I mean, yes, you do eat with your eyes first, but the amount of people that actually care about super fine cuts are few and far between. Oh, that slip. That's why we keep our hand in the guard, because my zucchini totally slipped there, and if I would have had my hand out straight, I probably would have cut myself right there. Alright, so for this pasta, we're just going to talk about how to spruce up something that's really not that good, which is jarred pasta sauce. Nothing to the jarred pasta sauce makers, but I think we've all had just noodles and red sauce, and it's pretty bland and not that good. So we're going to figure out a way to make that tastier by adding vegetables and flavor to the sauce. Okay, so we got our potatoes, which are, oh, they're so close. I'm usually sticking the fork in, and I want no resistance whatsoever when I stick the fork in. So once again, I don't want chunks. If I lose a finger, I have to beat Bashi again without a turbo too, I'm sure. Good substitute for zucchini. I mean, you can literally do anything you want to, especially in a pasta dish. The world's your oyster. You don't have to. You don't have to keep yourself to one thing or another. Right now we are making a potato and leek soup. So in this pot, all we have is onions, garlic, chicken stock, and a little bit of salt. We're cooking off golden potatoes to be the thickener for the soup. Then we have leeks right here. That's pretty much the dish, other than spices for that. It looks like my water's almost... Oh, my water's rolling, boiling. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so when we cook the potatoes in the water... we're removing a lot of the starch, and I don't want that gritty, starchy taste in the soup. So what we're going to do is take these and rinse them off in water before we do anything else. All that white scummy stuff in the pan is the starch you get in potatoes. Anybody that's tried to take a bite of raw potato, you know what that tastes like. It's not very good. Okay. So I'm even going to give these a little rinse with water to get all of it off. So all we have is our really heavily cooked yellow potatoes. Once again, why we use yellow potatoes is because they have a really silky smooth texture when they're completed. And that's exactly what we want. I'm going to add those to the pot and find out where my masher is. Where's my masher? Actually, that'll do. That's not a masher, but it'll do the trick. And then we're just going to mash the potatoes into the soup and let it cook down for a little bit. Yeah, that's not the tool I want. Maybe it's in here. There's my masher, right where it's supposed to be. So, we're literally mashing the potatoes into the water, which may seem really weird, but it works. It will thicken up the soup into a really nice texture. So now we can see our potatoes are a little bit chunky, which means that they weren't cooked all the way, which is fine. That is perfectly fine. So we're just going to let them cook down a little bit more and then mash them again. And then we'll have our base for the soup. Don't want to add the leeks before we're finished mashing, because if we do that before we're finished mashing, we're going to end up mashing the leeks, and it's going to kind of be a muddy mess. The leeks are the crispy part of the soup. So all we've done for this little base right here is added chicken stock, which you can use vegetable stock as well, onions, garlic, a little bit of salt, and then we're going to add the leeks in at the end. Okay, we're going to move this back over here. We got to juggle again. Got one dead burner, which isn't exactly ideal. Okay, put this over here. Really, salt and pepper is the best seasoning for white rice, in my opinion. That is my humble opinion. I mean, also, butter on rice is really good. Okay, let's tidy our station a little bit here. Oh, too much stuff working. Now you can see in the pot here that there was just liquid before, and now we're getting kind of we're getting a heavier bubble, like it's actually popping bubbles, which means that it is definitely thickening up, which is exactly what we want. Now, if you like really thick soups, you can add more potato. The only risk that you run into doing that is if you do too much, it ends up being like a watery mashed potato, which is not what you want. You want kind of just a viscous soup. Okay. We'll use this same one for the pasta. Okay, so we got, for the pasta dish, I talked about this a little bit before, not everybody has 3 hours to make themselves a pasta sauce, so what we usually end up doing is going and buying brand name pasta sauce, which is totally cool. I'm going to take a can of diced tomatoes. We got zucchini. And we're going to do some chicken sausage as well. I kept the other one vegetarian, though you could add sausage or whatever meat you wanted to that other soup, and it'd be really good. Make sure we're doing alright over here. Doing just fine. Now there's enough water content here, we're not going to burn this, and I want it to cook down a little bit more to completely break down the potatoes. Apparently I should have left the potatoes on a little bit more, but that's okay. And we'll serve the same purpose here. Okay, so for the base of this, we started with olive oil, we sauteed garlic and onions, we added chicken stock and a little bit of salt, and then we just added the potatoes. Now we're going to taste it to see where we're at. It's obviously going to need seasoning, because anytime you use potatoes, you're going to need seasoning. Ramen noodles and Kraft Dinner, you got it, Bevan. It's a nice base flavor. It's definitely going to need salt and herbs and all that stuff, but we can wait on that. Also, we're dumping a ton of leeks in there, which will add a really heavy onion flavor. I'll just add some salt now. Salt, salt, salt. My salt's on the counter, isn't it? Yes, it is. It's a real fine balance between salt and potatoes. While I do cook pretty low fat, I don't cook that low salt. Oh, there we go. Start with that much. You want to add salt a little bit at a time. You can always add more salt, but you can never take away salt. Once you put salt in something, you're stuck with however much it was. Leeks are a good replacement, Joy Rock. I mean, leeks are about it for oniony stuff. To be perfectly honest, leeks are a great thing. No, Koenig. With the base that we have, you're really not going to overpower anything, in my opinion. I like the flavor of onions. It's a real earthy, simple soup. So the little bit of flavors that you do have is extremely important to develop. So we got the garlic and the potatoes and the onion, and then we'll probably end up adding some dried thyme or something like that to finish it off. But it's a very simple preparation, so you want to make sure you're heavy on the flavors that you do have, since it has so few ingredients. The less ingredients you have, the more you need to develop and have those flavors in there to make it taste good. Okay, now we have a pretty damn good base for our soup. You can see it's kind of, well, when we spin it around, it's not acting like water. It's acting more like a soup base. And we did all that without roux or cream or any of the classic thickeners. Alright, well, first things first, we're going to get our pasta started. Actually, before we do that, we're going to cut our sausage. Pretty damn good soup base, that's right. Holy crap, we got a lot of sausage in here. Look at all that sausage. Alright. I'm not a huge fan of chicken sausage unless I cook it myself. I don't just like sausage by itself. I always like putting sausage in things, but that's just me. Some people love sausage. Not this guy. Chat is a huge sausage fest. Well, hey, welcome to the internet, right? Okay, this is looking pretty good. Actually, that's looking really good. We're going to finish this off, add the pasta, then finish it off. Okay, we got nice rolling boil on the water. It's exactly what you want. I'm only going to use about half this pasta because I am cooking soup as well. I don't want to have too much food in the house. It'll be good. Alright. Pasta is tricky. You always think you're making not enough, but you end up making too much. It's just how pasta goes. Actually, let's use this. It's perfect. Well, as you can see, I lost my nice boil. So what we're going to do is move this to the front burner. That juggling. If I had 2 full burners, I'd be really happy right now. You always want to keep your water at a rolling boil when you're cooking pasta. That is the ideal way to keep it. Doesn't always happen, but it's better that way. Okay. Let's pull this over here. So we got our soup, and you can see it's not really water anymore. It's a nice chunky base of onions and garlic and potatoes. So we're just going to fold in the leeks here. I don't want to go heavy on the leeks. If I have too many leeks, I will add more. I'll add some to the pasta, because that's not going to hurt anything. There we go. That should be real nice. I was not expecting those leeks to have so much flesh on them, but there we go. We have potato and leek soup. What we're going to do is add the final ingredients, make sure our seasoning is up to par. I like thyme with this. Anything with garlic, onions, thyme, just makes sense. Okay, we don't need too much. Dried herbs are pretty overpowering. In fact, that's too much right there. So just tiny little bit. Now, when you add dried herbs to something, especially if you're doing it closer to the end, make sure that you rub the crap out of them. Just like rub them between your hands really aggressively to help release a lot of the oils in the herb, and keep it tasting good. Because if you don't do that and then you taste it and then it sits in the fridge overnight, you might be unpleasantly surprised with how much herb flavor you just put in. Okay, so that's a start. Yeah, rub the crap out of them. Like really aggressively press them between your hands. You actually kind of want to grind them. Good night, 2-player, not to play. That's actually really good where it's at. The salt level is nice. Alright, so we're cooking a ½ pound of pasta. Probably be pretty aggressive on the amount of sausage, but that's okay. I mean, pasta's not always about just the carb. Dried herbs are OP as fudge. It's very true. They are. They're very overpowered. Why am I trying to put dried pasta in the fridge? That's a bad idea, Frag. Okay. Okay, sausages. Real simple. We're just gonna dice them. You can also cut them into rings. Do what you want to. I like diced. Allows me to develop caramelization. I always talk about browning stuff. If you can brown something, you should. This is definitely a case there. The smaller pieces allow you to get more caramelization because you can get more color on multiple sides, adding more flavor per bite. So if you do everything at once, I'm quartering every single sausage, and now we have this nice little, well, sausage train. We can just clump it all up and do it all at once. There we go. Okay, I'm going to leave the onion out because I have this leek left over and I already have quite a bit of vegetables, so that's probably my best bet. Alright, this soup is done. Oh yeah. We got there. So now we still have a little bit of flavor left in our leeks. I'll put this on the stove over here. We'll take care of it in a minute. But there we go. We have potato and leek soup. Super simple. All we used was chicken stock, garlic, onion, leek, potato, salt, and thyme. That's it. So very simple application, I think pretty hard to mess up. But I wanted to demonstrate that because golden potatoes are a great thickener. You don't have to use roux or cornstarch or anything like that. Potatoes have natural starch. Wash that skillet? What are you talking about? You should come to my house and do my dishes for me, Huxley. Yeah, it is. It's a really simple soup. Oh, sorry. Really simple soup. Not something that's hard to do. You can definitely get a lot more extravagant than that. You can add sausage. You can add pretty much any vegetables you want. But that's the base for it. Okay, so to start, we need to get a little bit of oil for the sausages. You have to do a little bit of oil, even if you have a non-stick pan. You have to have something in there to start the browning. Doesn't have to be a lot. That's all the fat we're going to add for the entire pasta dish, which is not very much. It's about a tablespoon, so 12 grams of fat for the entire thing, plus the sausage. It's a little bit much. There we go. What do you think about strawberries? Washington has really nice strawberries. I like strawberries a lot. Not quite there. That is the ultimate test. Just put something in the pan. If it sizzles really hot, then you know it's ready. You never want to add stuff to a cold pan. If you add something to... yeah, I know, Joy Rock. It's a really cheap soup to make. It's not expensive at all. I lost my my train of thought there. Right on, Koenig. I like sushi a lot. Ah, allergic to strawberries? That's harsh, man. That's cool, though. The strawberry is definitely not my favorite fruit. I'll say that much. Okay. So, going to add our sausage now. I know the pan's going to be hot enough. Real gentle-like, please. So we're going to try to get a really nice golden brown on all sides of the sausage, if possible. This is going to be where most of the flavor comes from. I'm not even going to bother heating my sauce up or anything like that. All the flavor is going to come from right here. The sauce is really just, well, the filler. Okay, so we got those covered in the oil. Might use a little bit too much oil. That's okay. Then we're just going to let them sit there and brown. Why don't you add something to a cold pan? The reason you don't add stuff to a cold pan is you'll never get that brown flavor on the outside. If you start with a cold pan, it heats up slowly, releases its liquid, and you're never able to get caramelization on the outside of anything. So pretty much every single recipe says start with a hot pan. There's so few applications in the world that say start with a low pan, and the reason for that is caramelization. When you caramelize something, it equals flavor. The more caramelization you have, the better things taste. It can also stick to the pan depending on what it is, yes. Hot pan will deter things from sticking. Okay. Let's keep stirring this pasta. Looking good. Pasta's probably going to be done shortly before this is, but that's okay. Yes, browning food equals delicious. There's more carcinogen in there, so you shoot your tears faster. However you want to chalk it up, but caramelization is always a good thing in food. Always. Well, I shouldn't say always, but almost always it is. Get myself my first cup of coffee for the day. Thank you guys for bearing with me. I slept in today, and I hope I've relayed all the information I need to for you guys. I cannot tell you how to cook in the microwave, Richivo. I don't know. Yes, yes. Always start with a hot pan if you can. If you can, it's definitely it's a tricky little bit because it's hard to know exactly how hot is too hot. So you'll find out quickly. If you see your pan smoking, you know it's too hot. We are making a quick pasta dish using jarred pasta sauce because I think that's what most people use. We also made a leek and potato soup using only garlic, onions, chicken stock, leeks, golden potatoes, and dried thyme. That is the only ingredients in there. Oh, olive oil as well. I will make sure I post the ingredient list for all this stuff along with a brief description afterwards. But you can see the soup is like a nice soup texture now that it's cooled down just a little bit. It's still very hot, it's just not boiling. That's a really great texture for soup to have. Let's give it another taste. That's good stuff. How did I learn to cook? Well, my dad showed me how to cook. I don't know where he's in Cryptio. I'll actually have a pretty decent recipe posted for that one because that's something I cook a lot. Okay, you can see in the pan here that great color we're getting on the sausage. That's exactly what you want. I'll put it over here. Oh, over. Oh, this way. That really nice dark brown. We want to get that on most of the sausage because that's going to be all. That's going to be all of the flavor, or most of the flavor we're adding in. So we want to try to get that on all sides of the sausage. As long as you keep an eye on it and flipping it on occasion, you shouldn't have a problem with burning it. But I learned how to cook from my dad. We'd always cook breakfast together. And my grandfather was a really good cook as well. He was actually 10 times better cook than my dad was. But that's where I learned how to cook. Past that, I couldn't really figure out what career I wanted to do when I was going to like community college and stuff. And I finally made the decision to give culinary arts a try, and I really, really enjoyed it. So that's how I learned how to cook. And then 8 years later, I know what I know now. Chef is the manager of a kitchen. That means they do all the management stuff. They do the schedule, they do the payroll, they do the inventory. I never had any desire to be a chef because that means you have to do boring managerial work, whereas cooks actually get to have fun cooking the food. It's mostly for show, Retard Ninja, for flambeing, but the purpose of flambe is to burn the alcohol off so you get rid of the alcohol content and get left with the booze flavor, is the main purpose. Because we all know alcohol doesn't, well, some people like the taste of alcohol, but I mean if you take a shot of whiskey, let's say, that's not exactly a great taste. That's not something you're like, that's appetizing. So burning off the alcohol leaves you with just the whatever flavors are in the alcohol. I will totally show you guys how to saute. I'll do a whole section on that. I'll actually do that next week. I could go over the basics of how to hold your knife and how to flip stuff in a pan. It's actually not that complicated once you get used to it. But getting used to it's the hard part. But I know a good way to practice it, because I did that in culinary school because I used to suck at this. Tips for cooking pasta. Number one, make sure your water is in a rolling boil before you ever add the pasta. Have salt in the water so it maintains that rolling boil. Stir a lot. If you don't stir your pasta, you're going to have a bad time, because if you don't stir the pasta, it clumps together and cooks unevenly. Almost there. Honestly, most directions on pasta are pretty spot on, but if you don't have the super hot water. I don't know the exact science behind it in Cryptio, but the salt does something to the water molecules that allows them to boil at a higher temperature without burning. So it just keeps it rolling. Science, magnets. How do they work? I don't know. I don't understand magnets. Okay, so our pasta is done. Perhaps even 30 seconds too long, but that's okay. So we're going to strain that out. If you ever need to keep pasta for an extended period of time, adding a little bit of oil to it, like before you put it in the fridge or something, will keep it from turning to sticking together. Okay, we got great flavor on this sausage now. Nice color. We're going to add the rest of the goods. So, I'm going to add the leeks. What's up, Zekel? How are you? Magnets are the simplest things in science. Well, I guess I am just doomed. Doomed to failure as a scientist. But that's okay. That is okay. So I'll post actual, I guess, recipes with this on YouTube tomorrow. But my goal would be to actually have the recipe set and have a purchase list and all that stuff a week ahead of time. I'm just not quite there yet. Let's just say next week I will have an actual plan and mise en place set out so I can give you guys what to buy and all that stuff. No elevator music, thank you. It's not too bad, CK. All I did was quarter them, and then I just clumped them all together, and then just cut. Fillet Megan, extra well, side of ketchup, Jack on the rocks. Okay, now we're going to add the zucchini. Once again, the zucchini is cut super thinly, so we really don't need much at all. And I can tell you right now we're going to have a very high vegetable to pasta ratio, which is what I like in my pasta dishes, because I grew up eating red sauce and pasta. I love carbs, but I love this too. Like this is what I like right here. That's where all the flavor is. And we're also going to add a can of diced tomatoes because we can. Not only does that add a little bit of color to it, but flavor. Where is my can opener? Honestly, I've never really listened to music when I cooked. Most of the kitchens I worked in were pretty strict about music, so I never really did. Okay, now we can add our pasta to a bowl, if I have one. We do. Okay. Oh my god, there's a hair in my pasta. Adds flavor. Okay, now I'm gonna rinse off these tomatoes. I don't really like the stuff the tomatoes are canned in. I really just want the tomatoes. Tomatoes. Looks pretty tasty, right? Alright, well, I know it's going to need a little bit of salt. Cheese never hurts and whatnot, but this is basically just the base. It's just the base for the pasta. I'd rather have a higher ratio of vegetables and stuff to my pasta than I would go overkill on having too much pasta, because pasta by itself is pretty bland. Okay, you can see the zucchini. It can bend without breaking, which is exactly what we want. We don't want it to be translucent all the way through. You can see on this one, it's starting to get overcooked. So we're good. So this is an example of taking something that's pretty bland like pasta and really, my old lady? There we go. No offense, ladies. My grandma always would have me open her jars for her. Alright. Almost there. We'll add a little bit more. Like I said, I don't really enjoy the flavor of canned pasta sauce, but if you add stuff to it, it ain't too bad. And yes, I can make a wonderful, wonderful pomodoro sauce or some other sauce that's going to take me 2.5 hours to make. But ain't nobody got time for that, or most people don't have time for that on a daily basis. So that'd be an easy way to cook something that's a little bit more than just pasta and red sauce. Well, we have sausage, zucchini, leeks, and pasta, which is what I will be having for dinner tonight. Talk about one more thing before we end the cooking section. If you're going to cool stuff down, this isn't so bad, but you want to keep it to less than 2 inches. So if you cook like a huge thing of soup, make sure you pour it into like a cookie tray or something like that. I'll give an example. To cool it down, because that is like the #1 cause of people getting sick. You want to pour it into something like this to cool it down. Makes it a lot easier and cools your food down faster, keeps everybody safe. The general guideline is 2 inches or more. You wanna do that. Of course, as home cooks, I mean that doesn't happen all the time, but just be warned, if you cook a giant vat of soup, you want to make sure it gets into something skinnier before you cool it down. All right. So there we go. Got our sausage pasta and potato and leek soup. And I'm just going to bowl these up because I put this whole bowl in the fridge. It will cool down unsafely because it's a giant mass of, well, very hot liquid or food. So there we have, like, I have stream snacks for the next like 2 or 3 days. So when I take my break to eat, I have something ready to go, so I don't have to disappear for 20 minutes. I can disappear for 8 minutes. And this will be my dinner tonight. So when I get off the cast today, or before I cast tomorrow, I will post this onto YouTube with a complete ingredients list and an actual kind of recipe down there. Once again, I hope to have like some sort of system set up where I can write a blog or something with having the actual cooking ingredients before the day comes. But we're not quite there yet. I just haven't had time. We'll definitely get there. We'll just say after next week I'll have something in place where I can do that. How can food cool down unsafely? Well, there's a thing called the temperature danger zone. Where if bacteria grows between certain temperatures. So if it stays in that temperature for too long, you can get unsafe bacteria on your food that replicates and then can make you sick. No, Koenig, because okay, let's say this entire pot is full of just really hot liquid, and we put it down, we put it in the fridge. The center of this thing is going to take forever to cool down. So it's not a big deal with this, but that's exactly what's going to happen. It's not going to cool down fast enough, and in the center of it's going to spawn a bunch of bacteria, and then whoever eats it later is going to get really sick. I mean, honestly, I'm not a big proponent on germs. I don't think germs are that bad. I like germs. They keep you a healthy immune system. But you have to be very careful, especially when you have kids and stuff like that, of how you cool down your food, because you can make somebody very sick by not properly cooling stuff. I like germs. Lethal Frag 2012. We are almost done cooking, but that was a good session, hour and a half. That's what I like to about do. So we made a nice soup and a nice pasta dish in an hour and a half. I mean, both of those, especially the pasta, only takes about, I don't know, 20 minutes to cook it all. It is a scheduled thing. Every Saturday at 10 p.m. Pacific, Zekel, we do that. You're welcome, Transcend. I hope that was helpful. Like once again, I want to have a blog or something set up where I can have the recipes posted a week ahead of time. Just not quite there yet. We're only on our 3rd week. But I really appreciate everybody coming out and watching me do this. Once again, warp core, because that stops heat from escaping out of into the fridge, so that will keep it a higher temperature for longer. You never want to cover food when it's still hot, because if you do that, it can make somebody sick. You want to wait till it's cooled down and then cover it. Well, thank you, Mr. Chade. Did you like the mushrooms, Little Penny? Cool kinetics. Score. Well, I'm glad everybody likes cooking. I hate going in sub-only mode. It is what it is, though. Basically, what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to kill the stream up here. I'm gonna load up the stream downstairs. I'll talk to you guys for a second. Then I'm gonna come up and eat my bowl of pasta, and then we'll come back and do it again. Once again, if there's anything you'd like to see me do on stream as far as techniques or stuff like that, please write me a message here on Twitch TV. I'm totally open with hearing what people want to see. I have a lot of time in kitchens, and I'm happy to share whatever I can if I think it'll be useful for everybody. Basically, my goal with these cooking things is not to show you how to cook a 5-course meal, not to show you how to be a fancy chef. I just want to show people that you can cook for yourself pretty cheaply, and it doesn't have to be super complicated all the time. Honestly, if you don't know how to cook, cooking for the first time, definitely my experience in kitchens. My first kitchen I worked in, I was so fucking nervous. I was so nervous. And you don't have to be scared of food. I mean, the worst thing that happens is you mess up and you have to try it again. So you can do that cheaply as well. You want to see my technique for the roundhouse kick. Okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it off subscriber only. I'm going to kill the stream here. I'm going to load it up downstairs. I'm going to come back up and eat my dinner, and then we will do some actual gaming. I have no idea what I want to play, but absolutely Encryptio. I mean, food's scary, man. You can burn it. You can make it taste bad, especially when you're cooking for somebody else. That's the really scary part. Yes, the ingredient list will be on YouTube, as well as a brief description of how to cook each item. Yes, I know we're going to release the Kraken. I appreciate everybody's patience. Thank you once again for your patience. I have no way to really moderate the chat while I'm cooking, which is why it's sub only, because it got absolutely insane last time. Yeah, absolutely, Encryptio. I mean, just because you cook something bad, you can usually learn from that experience and not repeat it. Did that do it? It should be. There we go. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Okay, I'm going to kill the stream and load it right back up downstairs. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed and learned a little bit today, and we'll be back in just a second.